Welcome back
to my. Oh, okay. I can't even push back on you accurately because your mom is here.
I don't know.
She just told me about the Italian protection. I can't say what I want to say. I feel safer when I say these things and you're not looking at me with fresh donuts that you brought to the podcast.
We own a pizza shop and sanitation on the side, if you know what I mean.
Which donuts should I not eat? Did you make special donuts for Andrew?
I didn't. Duncan did.
Special donuts for Andrew.
What's the white powder on this one?
Different ingredient.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Wow. Welcome back to Change Ed.
Changed.
Change it.
Do you want to throw anything in there?
Change.
That's amazing.
I am, although I'm terrified to say it, I'm your favorite host of the #1 rated education podcast in all of America. Andrew Kuhn, education consultant from Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. And here with me is
Patrice Semichek, an educational consultant from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit.
we always have our favoriteest, most handsomest.
As soon as my mom's in the room, the whole tone changes. Tony Mirabito from Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit, Staff Development Facilitator.
And I would just like to say, I'm going to let you introduce our guest,
Sure.
but knowing we have this guest in the room, editing can do a lot of things. I usually say very nice things about Tony, but the way he edits it
He
makes
never
it sound
says
like
it
I say
on
mean
the
things.
podcast.
So it's super nice to have you here. Tony, why don't you kick it off and introduce our guest, sir?
Yeah, super excited to introduce my mom, Fiorella Mirabito. Mom, you want to tell them a little bit about your background, and then we'll kick it off.
I love you, first of all.
Wow, love you too.
Thank you all for inviting me here today. I have a long story. I was born in Italy. My parents were very well off. They were farmers and really didn't have anything in the 60s in Italy. The economy, there was no economy. So my father and my mother had an uncle here in the United States, and he came back to Italy one summer, and he said to my parents, instead of this struggling, why don't you come to America? Well, those words, if you're not an immigrant, you don't understand what those words mean. America, and still to this day, Italians love Americans and America. So my father decided that this is what we were going to do. So January 11th, 1968, my parents left their homeland, the hills of Italy, with 2 suitcases. Me, 5.5 years old. Now you know how old I am. And we came to America. We landed in Bethlehem. That's why I love Bethlehem so much. We lived with my great aunt and uncle in their home. And within about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, my father said to my uncle, I appreciate everything, you've done for us, but we need to find our own place. So their factory, my uncle sponsored my parents to work here. That's how we got here. Mm-hmm. You had to be sponsored. We moved into an apartment in Bath, close to their factory. My mom worked at the factory. My dad worked at the factory, but dad only lasted there about 6 months. And then he's a farmer. He's used to being outside. So they had people in the cement industry, friends
cement
in the
industry,
cement industry. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, shout out to Casilio, the Casilio family. My father worked for them.
Again, I'd like to say how great Tony is, knowing that you have cement connections. One of our favorite people.
Cement sanitation. That's all good.
Yeah. Cement sanitation.
My favorite part of your story, going back to tying it into education a little bit, is you came over without speaking any English whatsoever.
No.
And of course, they're gonna, they have to enroll you in school. Mm-hmm. So you go to Catholic school to start.
One day.
Why one day?
Because I didn't understand anything and I was afraid of what was happening. And you would have thought that they would have been more welcoming and taken me in and sat me over here. And
It's a pretty big event to move from one country to another.
So I cried an entire day, went back the next day, cried half a day, and called my uncle and my mom, and they came to pick me up. From there, we went to George Wolfe Elementary, Northampton School District. I cannot thank Northampton School District for what they did for me. The teacher literally came over and grabbed both of my hands, led me to a little desk, and every day she would take the book, the A, apple, B book, and went through everything. I was fluent by 2nd grade.
Wow.
2nd grade, I translated for students in 5th and 6th grade. At the time. She recently passed, Mrs. Kythen. She was wonderful. But Mr. Fainal, who recently passed, he was the big, mean principal. He loved me. He would call me his little Italian girl. So
what an impact that teacher.
Nothing.
An impact. It goes back again to the impact that one person can have.
One person can make.
Yeah.
Massive difference.
Yeah.
So you go from not speaking any English, you learn it, still fluent in both.
Talk too much.
No, never. But for you two, and for our listeners, this woman, when I tell you that she's a force and can just accomplish anything that she puts her mind to. So then you go through, you get your citizenship, you become the mayor of the town that you like were transplanted to, not by your choice, but because your parents told you to. Talk a little bit about how you take an impact like your kindergarten teacher and turn that around now to your town.
Okay, so now I'm going to cry. No.
No emotion on this podcast.
So back to the factory that employed like 300 people at the time. It was a huge employer, my uncle's factory, Mary Fashion, and then run by my uncles. They gave me Bath and neighboring, gave me a life that I would have never realized in Italy. The opportunities in America are profound. In those days didn't exist. You know, if you have ambition, you can do anything. And people don't know what they have here in this country.
Yes.
It's the greatest nation on earth.
Totally agree.
You know, I felt when I ran for mayor that I wanted to give back to my little town that accepted me and embraced me. And really, I owe a lot to them. We have a business in Bath. We have a restaurant. My husband, God love him.
We're the ultimate stereotype, the Italians that have a pizza shop.
35 years. 35 years.
That's a long
We have
time.
supported every little baseball team
I bet
that
you
my
have.
kids played
I bet
on,
you have.
football team, Bethlehem Catholic High School.
That's awesome.
All of it. So I'm very happy to do what I do in Bath. I care deeply about my little municipality. A lot of times, bigger government, state, federal, forget about the little guys, but I'm Italian. I make myself heard, whether they like it or not.
I love it.
So
I told you she's a force in an only positive way.
And I have to tell you, actually, Tony was the inspiration behind this idea of having our mothers on, because the way that he talked about you, I know what he just said on air was the exact same way that he was talking to us about you. And he was saying so many great things. You're like, we have to talk to your mom.
Yeah, we really did. We're like, oh, we're doing Mother's Day now.
That's right.
That's
you know,
amazing.
Honestly, I mean this very genuinely. I'm not just saying it because you terrify me, because you threaten me, and Tony's your son. But Tony very much mirrors that same concept. And I wrote it down because you said if you have ambition, you can do anything. And Tony does not lack ambition in any way and has impacted so many people, but also is so personable and genuine. And people are drawn to him. And you walk into a room and you're like, oh, I'm with Tony. Oh, you're with Tony. Like you can say Tony Marabito and people
Everybody knows Tony. Everybody knows Tony.
it's the truth.
That's
like
a lot.
people, his students that see me, how's Mr. M? How's his students that he had at Sacred Heart? But thank you for that, Andrew. I'm very incredibly proud of Tony and Nicholas.
Nick's okay.
They are literally the air I breathe. And I'm incredibly proud of what my husband and I have done with my boys, because we live in a world of empathy is gone, respect is gone. They knew better growing up with me and my husband. Just be a good person, okay? Don't be judgmental. If you don't agree, smile. Okay, carry on, whatever.
They taught me very early on, like even the interactions in the restaurant. When you grow up at a restaurant, you know, I joke that I've been washing dishes since I was 3, but just their interactions, my parents' interactions with the customers that came in. I mean, everybody knows my family in that town because they've done so much for them, and the way that they've been treated by my parents. Anything I do is a reflection on them. You know, all the good things I do is a reflection on them.
The other podcast we recorded, it's interesting to be talking to our moms because I feel like I'm serious in a different way. But part of it, we found that the way we joke and we interact is we're able to do that with each other because of actually how close we are and how well we work together.
That's wonderful.
We have our own talents and things that we bring. And again, I just want to say that Tony, again, is that force. So it's really interesting to have had podcasts with our moms and be like, wow, this is like looking in a mirror. This makes so much more sense because you learn so much more. And I'll say that stuck out to me with what you were just saying about watching your parents is that, again, from an educational standpoint, that our students are always watching, right? Whether or not you know that they're taking it or not. And feel like parenting is that ultimate like thing that you can look to as a teacher to be like, man, I didn't think you actually saw that, right? But you were watching everything. They're recording all the time. And that's why I think this work is so important because they're so impressionable. So to have solid foundations or people that say like, they're the air that I breathe, like you're to be so in love and to be able to give have, and also provide a different life, to hear where you came from, and that you just have that ability and that mentality of like, we're gonna get this done and become a mayor and impact other people and start your own business and do all of these things. I mean, this is, like you said, that's not only the American dream, but just the dream of like life. Like, we have this impact. Right. So, and to have a teacher who took you by the hands and did all of that work with you, like, that's teaching at its best. The content is the vehicle we use to have the conversation, but it's really about developing character and developing life skills to empower people to take on those things in life. I'm inspired by hearing what you were saying and hearing about that teacher. I mean, and there are so many great teachers that are doing so many wonderful things, and we want their voice to be heard, so that
teachers are not appreciated enough. Let me say appreciated. That's just one word. You make a difference in a child's life, and they remember
one way or the other, right? They remember one way or the other.
Again, Tony's kids from Sacred Heart. It doesn't matter where I see them. They're always, he was my favorite teacher. Is he going to come back? Is he at the restaurant? We want to come to the restaurant to see him. When is he here? I am very proud of him. He's married to my beautiful daughter-in-law, Kelly. I'm proud of that. She loves him. He loves her. And that just makes my heart. I'm good. I'm good. I can move. And same with Nicholas. He's married now too. And
yeah, I think regardless of what industry you're in or where you work or whatever sector, it's relationships first, no matter what. Because if you're not loyal to your people, or you're not treating them with kindness, you're not going to get anything accomplished anyway.
What did I always tell you?
Yeah,
don't burn any bridges.
Don't burn any bridges. Never walk by anybody without saying hello. Those little things that can go so far. And that's that little kid that you have walking into your classroom that day, you might be the first person that they greet that's not mean to them. I've seen so many of that in Reading and in Bethlehem. Like, you can make such a difference in someone's life. Yeah.
In just being kind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a walking heart, this one.
Yes. Yes. So I would have a curious question. I was wondering, how did you make the decision to run for mayor? Like, what was the impetus?
I had breast cancer.
Oh,
I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at the time I was working for an OBGYN. And he guided me through that whole nightmare. So, and it was awful. It was long. It was arduous. It was surgery after surgery. Anyway, I was home and the election was coming up, and the mayor was not running again because I believe he had a stroke.
His health problems, yeah.
And people would say, Fee, you're already the mayor of Bath. You just need the title.
Let's make it official.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I said, I don't know. My husband said, Fee, listen, if you don't want to go back to work, or just worry about you right now. So I was home recovering. So I ran. I thought, I want to do this. I was president of Crime Watch, and I was president of the Women's Guild at the church. And, I was very involved in my community a lot, and especially with them growing up with their teams, do this and do that. As you know, you have children too. So that's what pushed me over the edge, and I jumped in. And now I am in my third term. This is the 10th year I'm mayor. And I don't know if I'm going to keep going, but I adore the people that work, the administration in Bath. My employees are amazing. Borough Council, there's 7. They make the ultimate decisions on everything. I can break a tie, and I have. If we had a police department, I would be in charge of the police department. So we have Pennsylvania State Police. So I'm the contact for state police. I talk to them on a regular basis.
See, when you were saying, what do I always say to you? I thought it was going to be, we have a vat of cement ready for Andrew. Like, that's not but you didn't go there. I was like, whoo.
So you work with 2 wonderful people.
They are good. Most of the time, they're
You should be very happy.
We're very happy, Tony.
Yeah.
We're very happy. This happened like organically. We were at a training. Andrew and Tony had known each other, and I was there as the
last summer at Penn State.
Yes.
That's where it
That was
started.
You told me. Yeah.
third wheel. And I inserted myself, and I like Tony more than I like Andrew. I feel like it's very.
It goes both
happens
ways.
everywhere.
It goes both
Don't worry. You know what, Fee? When it happens for you, just let it go. I'm sure you don't need it to happen. It's already happened. But anyway,
when it happens, what that she likes me more.
better. Yeah, but she walked in the door. She was like,
It happens fast.
It happens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you were just saying how well we all work together.
Oh, how fortunate we are. That's where I was going. In the intermediate unit world, we don't necessarily play well in the sandbox together, right? So our IU will do certain things in competition with other IUs, and it's never really let's join forces and have some really great conversations for the good of the collective. meaning the state. And so when we were sitting at this restaurant having dinner, we started this conversation like, how can we do something? There's obviously something here. It's very fun. People maybe would like listening to us. We find ourselves funny and sometimes intelligent. So like maybe we should put a microphone in front of us. And so I think that we are very fortunate, and I'm hopeful that what we're doing, the three of us, by being cross IU lines, is demonstrating for others that it can and should continue to happen across the state. So I know we're out here trying to change education for teachers and stuff, but I also feel like what we're doing has also kind of brought this group of IUs together because we're interviewing people from IUs. And I feel like the shift in the way that we're working together is kind of attributed to, and I'm not trying to like toot our own horns, but like we definitely are out here making some differences. And I gotta be honest, a lot of it has to do from the two of you, with the connections that the two of you have with everybody across the state. Like none of this would happen without the connections that you two have because of who you are as humans, and people just want to like come and have conversations with us, and I kind of just ride your coattails for a little bit.
But then they stake around because they like Patrice better. So,
We get them in the door and you keep them.
yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
I think it goes back to what we said before, though. It's all about relationships first. If you are just
Network.
kind to
Network
people,
is the key.
networking and just being, I don't know, open to letting people share their stories and their passions and
Actively listening. Yeah.
As educators, we don't always know what our legacy looks like or how it continues on, but that, it can change generations from the work that we do as it carries on because we can touch a life. And truly, Fee, you're a remarkable
Phenomenal
human being for so many reasons. And it's a privilege to meet you, not just because you brought Duncan into this space and you shared donuts with us because you're going to feed us, but
that's a true mother right there, always bringing the food.
Most importantly, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Done a remarkable job in a lot of things, but specifically with Tony and
It's my
Nicholas.
favorite
Even though
title.
I've never met Nicholas, I will throw him out there as well.
It's the
I'm sure he's a great
best.
guy.
Nick's good.
Tony, it's your mother. She's here. How do you want to wrap up
Tony, are
this
you
show?
going to get the final word?
I mean, I've got something, but just in case, I'm throwing it out to you.
You can do your shtick. I just want to say thank you so much for being on.
Yes,
Very
thank you.
more proud of you than I could ever even put into words. You're such a positive force in so many people's lives. Just thank you. Thank you for always being in my corner, even though I was doing stupid things when I was younger, but always just supporting me and always loving us. And just thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'll never be able to thank you enough.
No crying on the pod.
What I feel is indescribable. And I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of you and the man you have become. And look at these wonderful people that you get the opportunity to work with.
Thank you.
Be thankful, my son, because I am.
Go ahead, Andrew. Now you can do your last word.
I'm trying not to cry.
Yeah, now I'm going to sound like a heartless jerk after you guys are being, wow. This
is my favorite part.
this feels terrible.
No, this is
No,
good.
this is going to be great. I can feel it already.
Oh, okay. Wow. Everybody prepare for disappointment in Change Ed land. Well, on behalf of the entire Change Ed team, thank you so much, Fee,
Thank you.
for coming in and for empowering Tony to be the person that he is. It's an honor and a privilege for us to get to work with him the way that we do. And it's quite, again, using his words, quite the force in his own way in this space. And so we're together, bringing together all of our superpowers, working hard together to empower educators to do more and to feel their amazing abilities that they have in and of themselves. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. Please share this podcast with your mother. We want them to listen.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you both.
What I'd like to say is that for all of our educators, my takeaway for here is that when you are in a lifetime long business like we are in education, you may not know your impact in your own lifetime.
Found.
Well said.